No doubter, but he said he hit that one pretty good. He is red hot right now over the last 6.
Yeah, 4 home runs in those 6 games, 7 batted in, and hitting close to 400 in that time. So it's really cool to see, and those kind of guys, and he's a guy who was hitting 33 homers, 35 homers with the Mets, and I think that's what the Giants kind of envisioned with him, and now he's showing, because even when he wasn't hitting that well and was kind of mired in a slump, he still had a few home runs, and so we're a quarter of the way through the season, and he's got 8 home runs, so he's on pace for 30-something home runs, even with all the obstacles that he's had. So that's great. And the other thing that I thought was cool last night was seeing Haniger get a base hit to knock in a run, and keep that rally going in that. The Giants, they didn't add on after the second inning, but they kept adding on in the second inning, and Haniger got a hit, and then Crawford got a hit to knock in runs. So, and I think we're going to see that same kind of a stretch from Haniger here sooner rather than later.
I thought that was as important as the home run, John, was the bases cleared at that point, and then they string together hit after hit after hit after hit, and score more runs after that, because that's something they've had trouble doing, scoring without the home run. And to do something like that, like you said, it was only 1 inning, but they kept it going in that inning. Obviously, I'd love to see more of that, where they don't necessarily need the home run to put up a crooked number.
Yeah, because as soon as he hits the home run, great. It's a big inning. They got 4 runs home. The bases are empty. It's 2 down, and it seems like, without question, that inning is over now. So the rally's over. Great. But then J.D. Davis hits a double, and then Haniger singles him home and takes second on the throw to the plate, ill-advised as it was, and then Crawford singles him home. So that was some pretty good situational hitting from those guys as well. And J.D. Davis, he continues to be a revelation. So and I think the Mets have to be asking themselves, and the Mets fans are like, who is that guy? That's not the guy we had. That's not the guy who played here. Who is he really? And because he was known as a guy who could hit lefties, and just sadly just didn't have a position that he was any good at. And it turns out that probably he had a position all along, but he just didn't get to play there very often. And he got at first base, and he got in left field, and playing 2-3 times a week maybe. And now he's playing all the time, and he earned it. He deserves it, and he looks really solid. I remember when we were in Mexico City, Gabe Kapler showed his laptop computer screen to me, and I was looking like crazy at this thing, trying to unbelievable. But finally had to explain it to me. It was showing the numbers for third baseman, all the third basemen in the game, and the guy who, I guess it's the WAR which is the all-around, not just your offense, not just your defense, the all-around for the WAR, and he had the best one of any third baseman in the game at the time 2 weeks ago. So and you weren't surprised, having watched him every day. You weren't surprised to find that out, because he had been that good.
I'm not talking about his defense. I learned my lesson.
Oh boy,
his defense is good.
Happened fast.
See, I already don't remember that.
You don't? Yeah, remember we talked about it, and you're like, well, I don't want to tell him about it. I go, don't tell him I told him about it.
Half hour
and
later.
Then, like fourth inning of that night, air. I was like,
oh, yeah, I thought I could interview him and say, Tom Tolbert and Copes, they would say, hey, you should ask him about this. And
I'm so glad you didn't. All right, coming up more, John Miller getting you ready for the Phils and the Giants here on the Sports Leader.